Hello kindergarten students, Miss Bell here to do some frog story problems with you. All you need to have is a paper, the paper that comes in our math packet, page 58, and a pencil. I also have frogs right here that I grabbed from school, but you can choose to just draw pictures because the instructions right here say use pictures and numbers, so we need to do both. We need to read the story problem very carefully to make sure that we're getting the most important pieces of information. So I'm going to read it slowly. It says, there were 6 frogs. I think that's important. I'm going to circle that piece of information, 6 frogs. But some jumped into the pond. That word some doesn't actually tell us how many jumped into the pond. I think this is the part we're going to have to figure out. How many is some? Okay, so there were 6 frogs, but some jumped into the pond. How many jumped into the pond? All right, we do know, I think this is a really big, important piece of information. There were 6 frogs. If we look in the illustration, we can see that there are only 3 frogs there. But the words have told us there are 6 frogs. So I'm actually going to write that number 6 right down here because I know that's important information. There were 6 frogs. Now Miss Bell could choose to grab my own little frogs. I know there's 3. We already know that there are 6 frogs. And if we look at our illustration, let's count how many frogs are on the log. 1, 2, 3. We already know where those frogs are. We don't actually need to count them. We don't need to figure that out because we can see it. So I'm going to use subtraction. I'm going to take those frogs away. We know there's 6. 3 of them we can already see. We're just trying to figure out how many frogs are hiding in the pond. We have 6 altogether, so Miss Bell has 6 in her equation. 6 frogs, 3 of them are already on the log, so we already know where those 3 are. I'm going to take those 3 away because we can already see them. 6 frogs take away 3 should give us the answer for how many are in the pond. So what we can do is we can draw more frogs down here. Frogs can be tricky to draw. So if you're at home and you're wondering, oh my goodness, how am I going to draw a frog? I always like to show my students that this is my simple way. I kind of do, that's its body, and a foot, leg, and a foot. And then I do 2 big eyes. Now I can draw 6 of those, but Miss Bell did draw them quite large. So maybe I want to draw my next one's kind of small. There's the head, leg, foot, and eyes. I have 2 frogs. We have a head, a leg and a foot, and 2 eyes. I could even draw little smiley faces. We have to have 6 frogs because that's what the words told us. I have 3 so far. Oh, goodness, Miss Bell. Leg and foot, and eyeballs. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need 2 more frogs. Looks like I'll have to I'll draw some 2 little tiny frogs down here. It's okay if you run out of room, and it's okay if your frogs aren't perfect. The picture of the frog is really not the most important part. We're trying to solve how many frogs have jumped into the pond. We can't see that. But drawing small little frogs on our own will help us answer that question. It doesn't matter if they're perfect. Okay. All right, let's double check. The story says there were 6 frogs. So I want to make sure I have 6 in my drawing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we said we know there's 6 frogs. We're taking these 3 frogs away because we can already see them. We know they're not in the pond because they're right there on the log. So I'm going to cross off 3 of those frogs. 1, 2, 3. Now, if I had 6 frogs and I took the 3 from the log away, how many frogs are left hiding in the pond? Let's see. 1, 2, and 3. Let's double check. We'll read the story problem one more time to see if this makes sense. There were 6 frogs. I drew 6 frogs, so that matches. But some jumped into the pond. Some is not an exact number, and some is the number we have to figure out. How many jumped into the pond? We said we had 6 frogs. 3 of them are on the log, so we know they're not in the pond. So we cross those off because we already can tell those are not in the pond. Then we have 1, 2, 3 frogs left hiding in the pond. We used pictures and numbers to solve this story problem. Great work.